The light is so elusive, so difficult to talk about, and so powerful and so important. And so I would like to simply share a little bit about the light and what difference it makes, why it's important, and how to approach something that is so elusive, that's so very, very difficult even to describe. When we hear the word light, we think about light and darkness, bright, shiny lights. For people who are more into energy or spirituality, we often think of some kind of bright light that might shine inside you, or some bright light out there, and it contrasts very strongly with the darkness. We can think of light energy and dark energy, positive energy and negative energy, good and evil, all of these different contrasts between light and dark, or light and heavy. And all of that kind of light energy exists clearly. You know, we have light and we have dark, we have light and we have heavy, we have bright kind of light and we have very dark colours. That's all legitimate, and you can experience light energy inside yourself or some kind of light around you. But when I'm talking about the light, I'm talking about something that's different from all of that. It seems a little confusing to use the word the light, but it is the right word to use. It describes more accurately what I'm talking about than something else. So it's very difficult to understand the light because it's not a head thing, but it's something that you can come to know at a deep level inside yourself just by paying attention to it. So the way that I think about it in my mind, even though it's not a heady thing, is as some kind of presence that sits inside all of life. And it's not something that I can find, but what I discovered is that when I pay attention to it, it changes me. So it feels to me like it's always there, it's always here, it's always in everything. But very often we don't think about it, maybe we don't even know about it. We don't pay attention to it, and then we don't get the change that happens when you do pay attention to it. And I think that in today's world where we talk a lot about energy, we often don't know that it's there because we confuse it with this light and dark kind of energy. And so we look for the light. And what I found is people look for the light, they try to get brighter and brighter and brighter, and then always something really dark happens. And that's very confusing for them. And when I explored the light that I'm talking about, it changed the experience of the dark things that happen. It also changes the experience of the light things that happen. So it's a kind of light that sits inside the darkness as well as in the light. So one way I can describe it is that if you imagine any room, any place, or any situation, any part of life, and wherever you look there are different colours. So even if you look at my face, my hair is dark, it's not black, but in the video there's almost like black parts to it and very dark brown. My eyes are dark, my pupils are dark, my face is much lighter, my teeth are lighter still, the background here is lighter, this is kind of beige colour, my sofa. So there are all different colours. Now if we would turn the light off right now, in fact let's just do that. Let's turn the light off for a moment, let's really look at how this works. It'll be probably slightly light still. Yeah, so it doesn't quite work because the video adjusts. But if the curtains were closed and there was no light outside, my face would go completely black. And the wall, which is white here, would go completely black. But has that changed the colour of the wall? No, it hasn't. So the wall is still white, my hair is still dark, my face is still face colour, my teeth are still white. But without that light on, I don't see any of those colours. So when we turn the light on, we see the definition of the colours, we see the brightness, we see the range, we see the dark energy and the light energy. We see the heavy energy and the light energy. And so we can understand this as human beings, even though it's hard to talk about it in our language. And the light that I'm talking about is really similar to that, because when we pay attention to it, it's kind of like that's when it's on for me. When I pay attention to it, when I remember it, when I think about it, contemplate it, reflect on it, spend time being present to it, it's like that light being turned on and all the colours of life are, I can see them, they're defined. And when I forget about it, which is very normal, most people don't think about the light very much, if at all, the definition of the colours starts to become dim. I can't see things so clearly. So this is more in an inner way of being. And it's something that you can practice, and it's something that you have to discover for yourself. So I can talk about it and I can make you curious about it, but I can't do it for you. Every single one of us needs to find the light for ourselves. And part of that is finding the light within yourself, because very often you can feel very dark about yourself. You can really dislike or reject parts of yourself. You can hate parts of yourself. You can try to destroy parts of yourself. People even sometimes try to destroy themselves. And so even to know and remember the light in yourself is a challenge at times. It sometimes feels easier to just reject yourself. But if you spend a little time remembering the light within you, and that the light is in you, just like I showed you, that I've got dark hair. Supposing I hate dark hair and reject dark hair, whether I turn the light on or off, my hair is dark. But when the light is on, it shows its colour, it shows itself, all the contrast, all the brightness makes everything shine. It makes everything in its place. When the light is off, I might not be able to see it, but it doesn't change the facts. And so when we pay attention to the light, when we remember the light, it opens up colour, the full range of our life. Some parts of our life still look dark and some parts of our life look light. But when you connect with the light, and especially when you do this regularly, it changes your inner feeling about yourself. And it starts to enable you to accept, deeply accept those parts of yourself that you formerly rejected. This is very subtle, it takes time, but it's very beautiful to experience that, because gradually as you come to know the light within life and within yourself, you can't reject anything anymore. It's not possible. You might want to, but when you do, you feel out of alignment with yourself and with life. You feel like rejecting that thing isn't right. You can do it, but you just feel like you don't want to anymore. And gradually, you come to accept yourself as you are, rather than rejecting yourself. And the same thing happens with other people. When you start to remind yourself that the light is in other people, even those people who are being mean to you, treating you really badly, or people who are doing wrong things in society, things that are unacceptable morally or ethically in our society. Even in those situations, if you remember that for all of that behavior, for all of the terrible things that go on in life, the light is in every one of those people. And that makes you ask questions. That makes you think, reflect deeply. How can the light be in somebody who does something terrible? And it opens you to a much deeper understanding and awareness of life and what life is really about. And as you gradually come to know the light in that person, it's really interesting. Even if behavior is unacceptable at a human level, it's not that you come to accept it in a way that makes it all right. It's that you come to see that you know the pain that that person was in when they did that unacceptable thing, because you're the same. The light helps us to see ourselves in the other person, and to see the other person in ourselves. And this sounds very strange, but all aspects of humanity, all aspects of life are in each one of us. We can connect with all of it, and we can know and experience all of it. And when you can do that, you will find that you understand deep inside yourself the pain, the disconnection, the suffering that causes people to do bad things. And you will know it because you have the same pattern in you. You might not do those same bad things, but you will do things that are the same pattern, the same energetic signature, because you have that signature inside you. And what happens is that you start to have a more benign view of life. And when you have a more benign view of life, you become more inclusive of life. You become kinder towards life. And you become wiser in the decisions that you make. And it softens your experience of life. And it brings healing into the human family. So every person who pays attention to the light and who lets go of that extreme rejection and hatred of evil and darkness and negativity brings profound healing into the family of humanity. When we shine the light on the darkness, we see that the darkness is part of the contrast of life. When we don't shine that light, we usually are so hungry for light, we just want everything to be really bright and sparkly and positive. But it doesn't work like that. There is always contrast. It doesn't make evil behavior all right, but it does make it that you can understand it. And when you can find it in yourself to see the light in those people, then it softens all of us. It enables us all to turn more towards the light. And as any person turns towards the light, there is a brightness that emerges from them that enables life to become a little lighter for somebody else. And so if you can imagine the effect of more and more people just remembering the light, that life is not something to reject. In fact, rejecting life doesn't work. It actually just brings out more and more darkness. It makes life more and more painful and uncomfortable. And accepting life has the very extraordinary effect of allowing us to become better people. Not perfect people, just better people. And so we start to improve our common collective situation by opening to the light, by remembering the light, by paying attention to the light. It enables us to have the power to change, to transform. Whereas when we forget the light, what happens is we gradually create more chaos and we lose the power for change. We can't access the energy that we need to change. So this is a very tricky thing to talk about because the light is very elusive in a way. One of the best things to do is to talk about it. Another really good thing to do is to sit and simply reflect. Ask to experience it. Look to experience it. Remember it. See what happens when you pay attention to it for a while. What happens when you pay attention to it for a while every single day? What changes in you? It's not going to be singing, dancing changes. It's going to be subtle, very, very powerful changes. And the point about this is to see if that subtle change is there in half an hour or 1 hour, and you expand that out over a lifetime. What kind of change is that? What kind of change happens to other people when you pay attention to the light? What happens to the people around you? What happens to you in relation to those people? When you look for the light, when you see the light in that other person. And sometimes it's hard, you don't want to, or you can't. But that search, that willingness to look for the light in another person when what you're seeing is darkness, this is really powerful. And remember that this is not to eliminate the darkness, it's to illuminate the darkness. That's quite different. When I turn the light off, I eliminate the colour of my hair, the colour of my face, the colour of the wall, the colour of everything. When I turn the light on, I don't eliminate the darkness. I don't make everything light. I illuminate it. It becomes alive. It becomes something that I can navigate. I can walk through the room and not fall over. So that illumination in life is like a deep, subtle shining within the darkness. That is the light that I'm talking about. Okay. Thank you very much. That's something for you to contemplate, reflect on, and remember and see what difference it makes.